Brought to you by Penguin. The Four-Way Path by Hector Garcia and Francesc Miralles. Read by Danish Farooqui.
Forward. This wonderful book by the authors of Ikigai, a worldwide bestseller about a Japanese concept that translates roughly to the purpose of one's life, brings a similar approach to the Hindu way of life. It readably conveys some of the richness of Hindu culture and spirituality, as well as many Hindu practices like yoga, breathing, and meditation, to identify 10 Indian rules for happiness that everyone can learn from and abide by. But what does being a Hindu mean? My Hinduism is a lived faith. It is a Hinduism of experience and upbringing, a Hinduism of observation and conversation, not one anchored in deep religious study, though, of course, the two are not mutually exclusive. I grew up knowing few mantras, just some snatches of a couple of hymns, and practically no Sanskrit. My knowledge of Hindu sacred texts and philosophies came entirely from reading them in English translation. When I went to a temple, I prayed in an odd combination of English, Sanskrit, and my mother tongue, Malayalam, instinctively convinced that an omniscient God would naturally be multilingual. The first challenge in describing Hinduism, of course, is definitional. The name Hindu itself denotes something less and more than a set of theological beliefs. In many languages, French and Persian among them, the word for Indian is Hindu. Originally, Hindu simply meant the people beyond the river Sindhu, or the Indus River. But the Indus is now in Islamic Pakistan, and to make matters worse, the word Hindu did not exist in any Indian language until its use by foreigners gave Indians a term for self-definition. Hindus, in other words, call themselves by a label that they didn't invent in any of their own languages, but adopted cheerfully when others began to refer to them by that word. Of course, many Hindus prefer a different term altogether, Sanatana Dharma, or eternal faith. Hinduism is thus the name that foreigners first applied to what they saw as the indigenous religion of India. It embraces an eclectic range of doctrines and practices, from pantheism to agnosticism, and from faith in reincarnation to belief in the caste system. But none of these constitute an obligatory credo for a Hindu. There is none. We have no compulsory dogmas. This is why I'm more comfortable with the tenets of Hinduism than I would be with those of the other faiths of which I know. I've long thought of myself as liberal, not merely in the political sense, or even in relation to principles of economics, but also as an attitude toward life, to accept people as one finds them, to allow them to be and become what they choose, and to encourage them to do whatever they like, so long as it does not harm others, is my natural instinct. It is also what Hinduism teaches. As the great preacher Swami Vivekananda put it when he addressed the world's Parliament of Religions in Chicago in 1893, we believe not only in universal toleration, but we accept all religions as true. He spoke for a faith that prescribes not just tolerance, but also acceptance. Tolerance is essentially a patronizing virtue. The tolerant person assumes he has the truth, but magnanimously is willing to allow others the right to be wrong. But the Hindu, grounded in acceptance, sees truth in all beliefs. He accepts the other's truth, demanding only that the other accept his truth. Vivekananda often quoted in ancient hymn the Shiva Mahimna Stotra, which declares that just as
Sample complete. Ready to continue?